Welcome back to the second segment of Civil Discourse Now. This is March 3rd, 2012. I'm Mark Small. Co-host Paul Ogden. Our guest is John Easter. We're coming to you from Big Hat Books in Broad 6510 Cornell Avenue. It's on the north side of Indianapolis. We were talking today about Super Tuesday, 3 days from now, and the primaries that are taking place in primaries and caucuses altogether in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 states. Washington is occurring today, but we were just talking about Ohio.
Right. Ohio's a key state, not only in the primary, but also for the general election.
Whereas Pennsylvania is the keystone state.
Exactly. Pennsylvania will be a key state, too. Ohio, though, has a lot of blue-collar people. A lot of those, we used to call them Reagan Democrats. The problem with Mitt Romney, why he doesn't connect, is there are a lot of Reagan Democrats, that's not the right term.
Especially in a Republican
But there are a lot of working class Republicans, people who are middle class who don't like Romney. He doesn't represent them. Romney represents them, that 1%, and he does not connect with those people, while Santorum does connect with those people. Whether it's going to be enough to hold off Romney, Romney's best argument has been throughout the primary that he's the most electable. That is his whole spiel.
Yeah, but the primaries, I think, are demonstrating why he's not electable. I mean, they're saying, well, he's electable, so that's why we should elect him.
Exactly right.
But has he gotten 50% in any primary?
He's got 50% in any, but he will in Virginia.
It's hard to do in four-way races, though. It's hard to get 50%.
Santorum actually has. I think in Missouri it was.
Yes.
Yeah, but that didn't count.
Well,
That's a non-binding primary.
Well, we haven't had any that haven't counted that Romney.
If we had a non-binding primary, I wouldn't show up to vote. I don't know about you. I mean, that's kind of the...
I would, because I'd be doing my duty as a citizen of this state and this country.
It doesn't count, though.
That's
But
John's time is more valuable.
I think, let's be clear, though. There's not one candidate in the race, Obama included,
right,
except for maybe some that we don't know about. And there are, as you were saying, Mark, there are, 4 or 5 people running for the Democratic nomination plus President Obama. But let's be clear, there's not anyone that truly represents the 99%. I mean, they're all part of the 1%. Even Ron Paul, whose wardrobe, he looks like he picked it up from a garage sale. But, you know, he probably did. That's probably why he's part of the 1%, to be honest. But he's also a doctor. And, you know, Rick Santorum, even though he thinks that people who go to college are slobs, he's a lawyer, went to Penn State.
No, snobs, not slobs.
Did I say slobs?
Yes.
he just did slobs.
Snobs.
You were just talking about Ron Paul.
He may think they're slobs, too. But
if you've been in a dorm room, yeah, we're slobs.
But, you know, there's not one candidate that represent. I mean, if you look at what their bottom line was, I think they had this when Romney released his tax returns. There was they compared all the presidents, and actually President Obama is one of the poorest presidents that we've had, and he still has made a lot of income from his books and things like that. And you go back and you look, you know, Kennedy being like a billionaire essentially in 1960 terms, and then you know, it's just kind of interesting to look at that. But really, when we're talking about presidential politics, if you look at their actual bottom line, nobody, I mean, even Santorum, who may talk like he's trying at that 99% strategy, well, he's still part of the 1%.
Right, you mentioned being able to talk. It's being able to talk the talk. It's being able to connect with blue-collar voters, and Romney can't do it. It's like, oh, my wife drives 2 Cadillacs.
And Romney has a problem connecting, period, because I think he's got, Jon Stewart brought up the point that he's kind of like a robot, and he is.
I mean, he can't tell a joke.
Trees are the right height.
But also, when he tries to tell a joke, he blows telling a joke, because he'll blow telling a punchline, and you get the impression in his delivery he's got a lot of audible pauses, and it's like he's trying to think about how to act normal, and it doesn't come across that he's really actually naturally normal. Or when he's talking about NASCAR. He doesn't follow NASCAR.
I don't follow it closely, but I have a lot of friends who are team owners.
Yeah,
they're rich.
Now, Bill Clinton would have said, "Well, now
I'll watch NASCAR all the time."
I remember the 1962 race. And then he'd rattle off what the finish was and what happened on lap 57 that changed his life forever or something, you know.
And that's also because he had James Carville and a lot of these strategists behind him who understood how to make President Clinton look like he was representing and President Clinton can connect with any offense. Now I'm talking football. He can connect with any audience. When you see him, I've had the chance to see him speak a couple of times, and you know he spoke in front of the Jefferson Jackson Day dinner down at the convention center, or maybe in the Marriott. It's one of those places downtown.
We're the elite.
Yeah, we're the elite. But he spoke for a long time about, you know, the entire history of the Democratic Party in presidential politics, and it was like a lecture. And then he brought it all home at the end, and it was just great. But you know, President Obama has that gift. I mean, he can deliver a line. If you've seen him, you know, do some of these. President Bush could deliver a line. I still think of President Bush at that one correspondence dinner where he was there, and then the impersonator was right there, and he was so good at just kind of being the straight guy for him. Yeah. So I mean, that's something I don't think Romney has, and if he did, it comes off as forced, and I think that's why he's not connected.
Yeah. I think the difference is it's kind of like having somebody who is a really good actor, and you were talking about Carville and those people who were prepping Clinton. It's like the difference between having somebody who's a really good actor and a couple of playwrights who put a play together for him, and they can read off the lines, and they had that ability to act before that, and they take these lines and it's guidance, and so they know how to do it. Whereas Romney can't act, and the people are writing lines for him, and he's blowing them. He's blowing the lines because he'll come up and say things like the tree line, and it just all these things just don't sound like he really understands what he's doing.
When age was a problem for President Reagan, he had that great line in the debate against Walter Mondale.
Right.
I will not, what was it? I will not exploit for political purposes the relative age,
youth and inexperience
of my opponent. Walter Mondale stand there.
Age is not an issue. I will not exploit.
Right, and that's shine. You know, I think he always said, "Shine a lantern on your problem." Romney could get a lot of mileage out of shining a lantern on the fact that he's a robot. Have fun with it, you know, and at least I think that will help him connect with people. The question is, does Rick Santorum even have a sense of humor? You know, I don't know that he does.
Say he's more personable.
You know, he connects well on the stump with people. I think because I think of all the candidates in the race, he most feels his political ideas. I think he's most in tune with where he is on the issues. Not sure Romney knows. I think Ron Paul does too. I think that's why he connects well with people.
Gingrich is kind of like
Gingrich is
moves around.
Gingrich and Romney are both alike, and they will.
To be fair, Gingrich is probably one of the smartest men out there running for president. He knows how to play the political game, but he has the gift of saying stupid things, and you know, just coming off as completely. He comes off. I think he puts people off. I think you know, people are like, ooh. Wow, really? We want to make children janitors in school? Oh, I don't want to do that. And I think that's where he comes across. Obama, you know, what he's doing now with the singing and all this, that really connects well too.
Yeah. Let's go to the next state.
Sorry.
Well, I was going to make a point about it. We can go through the other states pretty quickly. But the number one force in politics today is populism. You see it on the right with the Tea Party. You see it on the left with the Occupy movement. They're both populist movements. Yet Republicans are about to nominate, or could nominate, Romney, who is the least populist candidate we've probably had in quite some time. Obama, on the other hand, is going to be able to swoop in and take in and really come across as a really populist candidate. I think it's going to...
Well, his numbers are improving every day.
Yeah, his numbers are improving. I mean, the economy's improving.
As the Republicans beat up on each other, that only improves his chances.
Yeah.
I think if gas hits $5, I think people will really...
Well, and the reason gas is hitting $5 in large part is because the people who speculate on the prices of oil think we're going to go to war with Iran. And that's something that's just kind of generated as its own issue. I mean, there's nobody in positions of serious power who really advocates going to war with Iran.
And the president has no control, really,
Yeah.
over gas price. I mean, he can do some things, but nothing significant.
Not short term. It's
Right.
hard to do anything short term. That's true with the economy.
Right.
All really.
He could order release of petroleum reserves
Yeah.
such that it would cause a market fluctuation downward for a very short period of time.
Right.
But that would be viewed by a lot of people as being
It's
cynical.
a Band-Aid or a political move.
Yeah, so we got Georgia. Georgia is,
Gingrich's home state.
yeah,
Which one?
I don't know if he's moved.
Is he on Virginia's ballot?
No, he's
No,
not on
he's
Virginia.
not.
ballot.
He's not, but
He and Ron Paul are the only, Romney and Ron Paul are the only one on Virginia.
in Virginia, and I'm going to get to that in a couple of minutes, but it's proportional unless one candidate gets more than 50%. Gingrich's draw is essentially around Atlanta, and so that's where a big draw of his votes are projected.
Atlanta suburbs.
Yes, and so,
Probably not Atlanta.
well, I mean,
I know.
but that metropolitan area, and so if he doesn't take, I don't think he's going to take 50% in Georgia, but if he doesn't do really significantly well, he has said that he was going to drop out.
I've not heard that. Has he said it?
I think he said that if he doesn't, something to the effect that if he didn't take Georgia, he didn't do really well in Georgia, he was going to pull out of the race.
Okay.
And I
I
don't
believe it when I see it.
I don't think he's going to do that. Tennessee is proportional unless one candidate gets 50%.
Santorum has a big lead in that state, apparently.
What's his lead?
It was like 2-1. It was like 4. He's got 40%, and like Romney has like 19 or something like that.
Well, that's
That would seem to be a Gingrich. Gingrich was going to do well. You think that would be an area who would do well. Southern state.
it's a southern state, but also Tennessee has odd demographics because you have a couple of areas there that have very high levels of education. I mean, the elites, but you have very high levels of education, which tend to go more left, by the way, Paul. But
We will have a show about higher education, more highly educated people vote Republican.
yeah, right. So
I teach the subject.
and so it's going to come out the way you wish for it to.
Okay.
But Tennessee has 55 votes. Virginia, the at-large delegates in Virginia, because they have 46 delegates, but some of them are at-large, and the others proportional by district within the state, unless one candidate gets more than 50% of the vote. Now, you only have two candidates there.
Right.
And so Romney has already plastered, I'm sure, that state, but has spent a lot of money there so that he can lock up those 46 candidates, or delegates.
Right. And last, the poll I looked at this morning had Romney with about close to 60%.
In which case, he gets all 46 delegates.
Right. And there was a big bunch undecided. I didn't mean to say Ron Paul had 40, because Ron Paul had like 20 or something.
Yeah, so you're looking at a situation where Romney is just banking these delegates. He's just putting away the delegates, trying to get up to the 1144 that is the magic number. Then Oklahoma has 40 delegates. That's proportional, and again, unless one candidate gets 50%. What are the numbers?
I looked it up, but I didn't write it down. I believe Santorum might be headed that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Santorum.
Oklahoma runs very conservative.
Yeah, I believe Santorum was ahead in that.
Although it was where Wes Clark did win a primary,
Oh.
2000.
There you go.
That's also where Oral Roberts University is located.
So,
So that's 40 votes, and then we're at the end of the second segment. We'll be right back in just a